Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a new puzzle by Jeet Sampat, whose puzzles I adore. I've done a few Jeet Sampat puzzles on the channel in the past. They've always been really interesting. This one, it looks daunting, I have to say. It's been approved by one of our testers. The other tester couldn't do it, but the one tester who did solve it said that it really is quite stunning, and pointed out to me that this, which I think I would have got from the title, it's called Above Average on Average. Apparently Jeet has been experimenting with setting puzzles with an awful lot of average clues, and that certainly seems to be the case here. And I think by average, what's being got at, I mean, for example, let's look at this. This is a 3-cell 15K. Well, the average Sudoku digit is a 5. So, you know, if you put an average digit into each of these cells, you would get 15 as the sum of the digits, and indeed 15 is the clue. I mean, the average value of a diagonal, if we use 5 as the proxy for the average digit, is 45, isn't it? And this is only slightly different. Those 4 cells there sum to 23. Again, the average would be 20. So there's nothing here that's sort of shouting about a starkness where we might actually start the puzzle. Which is a little bit terrifying. But anyway, we'll have a look at this in a moment or two. I am looking forward to it indeed on this dreadful day. I mean, this is some British summer, I have to say. There were some nice days in June, but since then it has been absolutely filthy. And today is another filthy, horrible day outside. So we will get our pleasure and our fun today from our computer screens and Sudoku. What do I have to tell you about? Well, it is the last day of July, believe it or not. That means tomorrow it is Patreon Reward Day. So if you're a patron of the channel, look out. 4 o'clock tomorrow, UK time. We're releasing a brand new Sudoku hunt. Thank you very much to Glum Hippo, who has been mostly responsible for creating this one, themed on tennis. It should keep you busy, I think, for a few hours, even if you're quite a good solver. And yeah, we really hope that you enjoy the puzzles, obviously. So the competition will run until the 20th of August, so plenty of time. But yeah, look out for that, 4 o'clock tomorrow UK time, and we hope you have a lot of fun with it. Now I've got some birthdays to do today. I'm going to start with one of my favourite birthday shout outs I've done over the last year or so. Was for Amber, but today I'm shouting out Greg. Greg and Amber have been living together for years and years and years, and referred to their sort of history of living together as the I think it was the Greg and Amber show rather than the Amber and Greg show. But they've been coming up to the season finale because they are no longer going to live together at some point, I think fairly soon. Anyway, Amber wanted me to wish you a very happy birthday, Greg. It might have been for yesterday, actually, but in my defence, for once, Amber did send the email asking me to shout out your birthday at about 7 o'clock yesterday evening, by which point I had already recorded yesterday's video, so I couldn't shout you out yesterday. But I hope that you have I hope you had an absolutely brilliant day. I think Amber's away in Scotland on holiday at the moment, so can't be there to celebrate with you. So I hope you had all the chocolate cake to yourself, Greg, and it was a mighty fine day. Next birthday, Liam. Liam, you're turning 18 today. That is an important birthday. I know this because your friend Joel wrote to us, and this comes with a message or a suggestion. Liam, set your first puzzle. Your friend Joel thinks that you're well capable of it, and obviously we'd like to see anything you come up with. So Liam, I hope 18 is the year in which you, well, having completed your 18th year, you start your 19th year with some setting. Next, Tom C. It's your birthday today, and I know this because your girlfriend Carol wrote to us, and Carol asked me to wish you a big fat happy birthday, which I'm very happy to do, of course. And then over in the Netherlands, I hope I'm going to say your name correctly. Dries, I think. It could be Dries, but it looks to me more like Dries. It's not an English forename, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But anyway, I'm going to go for Dries and say that your wife, Johanna, I think it's Johanna rather than Johanna, but again, I could be getting that wrong too. It could be a total disaster. Dries, very many happy returns. I hope you have a super chocolate cake as well. And that's, I think, all the rules. All the rules? No, indeed. That is all the rules of birthdays. We've read them out. And now we will turn our attention to actual rules of Sudoku. And I will read you the rules of Above Average on Average by Jeet Sampat. We'll see if we can work out how to solve this puzzle. These are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column and every 3x3 box. A clue outside the grid gives the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal. So, well, as I was sort of pointing out in the intro, those 4 have to add up to 23. These 4 have to add up to 28, etc. Digits within a cage sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. So they sum to 14. These sum to 14 as well. They're 11, they're 15. I mean, this is it's really stark, isn't it? The green line connects digits with a difference of 5 or more. So this is a tiny little German whisper. So if this square was a 1, this square here would have to be at least 6. It could be 6, 7, 8 or 9. That's how that green line works. I suggest this is probably not where we're going to start the puzzle, though. And that is literally it. Yeah. That is a bit worrying, isn't it? Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I'm just going... I mean, why? Why am I even bothering? I know this is not going to be important. If all these clues are genuinely average, and they seem to be, 29 in 4. That one is slightly high. In the sense that, well, it's averaging just over 7, isn't it? But it's only slightly high. I mean, you could still actually put 3 9s along this diagonal. If I put 3 9s in those cells and a 2 there, I think it would work. So it could have a tiny little digit on it. The only digit actually that we know is not on this diagonal is a 1. I mean, what on earth? I mean, frankly, my first thought here is this must be some sort of Fistemafel trick, or the sort of expanded Fistemafel trick. Because when you get puzzles that simply look impossible, and where you sort of start to analyse the clues and there really is nothing, then my simple brain says to me, okay, well, it must be something global then. There must be some way of connecting all of these seemingly average clues together into a big recipe that allows us to actually deduce something. Now, that means I have to remember what the expanded Fistemafel, because the normal Fistemafel ring is this one. Obviously, many of you will be familiar with this. It's the theorem that says these squares, or these green cells, are exactly the same digits as those blue cells. Now that to me looks absolutely hopeless in this context, because I can't see, well, I mean the two big diagonal clues do take in a few of these cells, but it's not making any use of these cages in the perimeter. So I think we need to blow this up a bit. And I have seen this before. It's but I can never remember it off the top of my head. It's something like the perimeter versus the 4 corner boxes. If we do I bounce straight into explaining what I'm doing? I probably should. I think I'm going to risk that today, on the basis that I doubt I'll find any better ideas. So let me find my Scrabble bags. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to use my blue Scrabble bag. Let me show you what's in my Scrabble bag, just so that you know. That is a Scrabble tile. Hopefully you can see that. It's got the number 2 on it. Ah, dropped it. Oh no, that's a disaster. That's a 6, or a 9 if we turn it the other way up. Ah, that's the same. Anyway, the basic idea here, that's an 8. And I really don't like dropping things on the floor. Goodness only knows where that's gone. I will find it. Oh no, it's here. I've got it. There we go. Right. So the point of showing you what's in the bag is so we can explain what we're going to be doing with these digits in the perimeter. Move the chair in. Okay, so what we're saying is, let's think about this row of the Sudoku. Obviously, we don't know where the digits in that row, or we don't know exactly how the digits are disposed within that row. You know, I don't know where the 1 goes, but I do know that the total quantum of that row contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. The total quantum of this row is the digits 1 to 9 once each. The total quantum of this column is the digits 1 to 9 once each. And the total quantum of this column is also the digits 1 to 9 once each. So the perimeter of this Sudoku is quite close to containing 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. The reason it doesn't quite do that is that this cell is obviously in row 1 and it's in column 1. So if we are going to describe the exact contents of the perimeter, we're going to have to cater for these sort of overlapping cells, if you like. And how am I going to do this? What's going to be the best way to do it? Yes, so what we could do is we could double count these cells, because this is in this row and this column. And now, if we do have this cell included twice, this cell included twice, in this cell included twice, and this cell included twice, we will have 36 blue cells because we're counting these twice. And what I want to imagine is that I write on these on those Scrabble tiles. I want you to imagine there are 36 Scrabble tiles in here. There aren't actually, there are a few less, but imagine there are 36 Scrabble tiles in there, and there are 4 Scrabble tiles with a 1 on them, 4 Scrabble tiles with a 2 on them, 4 Scrabble tiles with a 3 on them, etc., all the way up to 4 Scrabble tiles with a 9 on. Then we could say that providing we take whatever is in the corners twice, the contents of this Scrabble bag is exactly the same as the perimeter contents of this Sudoku. Now, I want to contrast that with these 4 boxes of the Sudoku. Now, what can we say about those orange cells? Well, obviously, each complete box of a Sudoku contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. So the orange cells in total are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. So I want you to imagine on this bag, I've got 36 Scrabble tiles. Again, 4-digit 1s, 4-digit 2s, all the way through to 4-digit 9s. And the contents of this bag are exactly the same as the contents of the orange cells in this puzzle. Again, we don't need to know how the digits are disposed because I am doing a sort of global exercise. So at this point, providing I count those corners twice, the orange tiles and the blue tiles are identical. These bags contain the same sets of tiles because there's 4-digit 1s in both, 4-digit 2s, etc. Now, let's look at this cell. And I want to imagine that whatever's in this cell, whatever tile corresponds to this cell here, I'm going to take it out of both bags, like that. What now is in both bags? Now, hopefully, you will tell me there are now 35 tiles in both bags. You'd be correct, because I've just taken 1 tile out of both bags. But the crucial thing to note is that because I've taken that specific tile, whatever that corresponds to that specific cell, out of both bags, the contents of both bags is still the same. I now cannot tell you what's in the bags though, because it's going to depend on exactly what this digit is, and I don't know what it is. So if this was a 6, obviously there would only be 3 6s in each bag, but if it was a 9, there would only be 3 9s now left in the bag. But the crucial point is that the bags still contain exactly the same thing, and providing I take each of these cells' contents out of both bags, then we still reach a point where the contents of both bags are the same. Now, remember the corners were twice in blue and only once in the orange bag. They were included. So if we had a 4 in the corner, we'd have written a 4 on 2 blue tiles but we'd only have put it on one orange tile because it was only needed to be in the orange bag once. Well, what that means is that if we remove that orange 4 and one of the blue 4s from the corners, we'll be left with just the solitary blue 4 left because it was in the blue bag twice. In other words, we can replace the corners with just the single blue tile now, corresponding to what's left once we remove one of those corner tiles from each bag. And we reach this position where, again, I cannot tell you what the exact digits are in orange, but I can tell you that whatever those digits are in orange, they are the identical digits to what's in blue. Now, the reason I thought this might help is that I could see that was going to allow us to at least do some sums using the digits in the the digits in the cages. Right. Okay, so let's just take quickly a stock of that. We've got 25, 40, 54. We've got 54 in the cages. Sorry, I don't really know what to do with that, actually. Now we've got here, and I've spent however long, 16 minutes talking about set theory. So the orange tiles, what did I say it was? 54. So the orange tiles not only contain the exact same digits as the blue tiles, but we can describe the orange tiles as summing. Because the orange tiles are the same as the blue tiles, they must also sum to 54 plus the corner digits. So what I'm now wondering is whether I have to use the fact that this is confusing though. Sorry. But see, normally when we have the Fistamafel ring and we're equating two sets of Scrabble tiles to each other, we reach this sort of position, and I know, I can see what to do. But here, what we're being left to play with as a result of this, let me try and show you. I don't want to do even more colouring on top of this. Let me use lines. Let's use a red line. We've got that red line there. We've got this red line here, this red line here, and this red line here. And I can see, but I don't understand how to. I can see that if I actually use the main diagonals as well, I am getting a completely perfect overlap with the. Hang on, let me just correct that. These two with the orange cells at least, but I'm far from getting a completely perfect overlap with the blue cells. So I suppose what we could do, we can tell, I can tell exactly what the sum is of all the red lines, can't I? And I know, oh, do I though? I sort of know what the sum is. I don't quite understand. I'm going to add up all my orange lines just so I know what the number is. So what have we got? We've got 106, 129, 37, 157, 186, 210 is what I get there. The problem is if that's wrong, it might matter. Well, let's assume I'll do it again just to make sure. 210. I'll do it with different digits to start with. 80, 108, 131, 181. Okay, I've got 210 doing it twice now, so it probably is 210. So the total sum of the red lines is 210. But the total sum of the... Oh, this is horrible. See, what I want to do is to cancel these down somehow. But the problem is I don't really know I don't really know what the blue and orange sum is, do I? Because although... Sorry, no, this is just eluding me. I'm not. I think this is relevant. I do. I just can't. I know that blue. The blue tiles. No, I only know what some of the blue tiles add up to. Some of the blue tiles, the ones in the cages, add up to 54. But then the corners are unaccounted for. So the blue tiles altogether add up to 54 plus the corners, which means the orange tiles, which contain the same digits, also add up to 54 plus the blue corners. So the total sum of the blue and orange cells together is equal to 2 lots of 54, which is 108, plus 2 lots of the... is it 2 lots of the corners? Yes, because the corners are already in blue, and then I need to include them again, because orange is the same as blue. Right, so the total sum of blue and orange is 108 plus 2 lots of the corners. But the total sum of red is just 210. So the difference between red Yeah, okay, so this is very... Sorry, I feel like I'm being absolutely ineloquent here, and I am, but I'm trying to shuffle this around in my head because I'm getting confused about... I'm thinking about the fact that I've got 2 lots of the corner digits in the sum, but I think that's a right. I think the way the maths of this must work is the following. We know what the sum of red is. Red is 210. Now we also know that blue plus orange is equal, so blue plus orange, which you can see overlap absolutely precisely with red. No, they don't, actually, that's not true. They nearly do. The only cells in blue and orange that do not map completely with the red are those cells, right? So they need a different colour. Let's make those yellow. Right, so the only of course, in the middle, right, okay, sorry. So the only difference is, but the middle's complicated. Oh, this is really horrific. This is horrifically difficult because that middle cell is in 2 diagonals. Right, okay, so let's Right. So I have a way of expressing the total sum of the digits in blue and orange. That is the following. Blue and orange are 108 plus the four corners of this puzzle twice. That is mathematically what they are. The red digits, you can see, map exactly to almost every blue and orange digit. And we know that the red digits sum to 210. So the difference between 210 and the blue and orange digits, how can we express that? So if we were going to try and adjust just the sum of the blue and the orange digits to give us 210, what would we need to do? We would have to add in the green digits, including this digit twice, because this was in this diagonal's 56 and it was in this diagonal's 50. So we would have to, in order to get from 108 plus the four corners twice to 210, I need to add the green digits, including this digit twice, and I need to take out yellow, because these are in blue and orange but not in the red lines. Right. So what does that mean? So that means that the four corners twice plus the middle digits, including the middle digit twice, minus the yellow digits, is equal to 210 minus 108, which is 102. Now, if this doesn't do anything, I'm turning the video off because this is making me look stupid. Okay, so that feels very difficult, doesn't it? Because the maximum we could make these squares would be 35. Oh, but I can have and conclude. I was thinking if I made these 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, but if I could put 9 in the middle, so that would mean that the green digits, including this one twice, would be 44. So the most I can get from the green cross is 44. And I've got to, but overall I've got to get up towards 102, which is massive. But the corners are being counted twice. So if we had, the most you could put in a corner would be an 8-9 pair. So if I had 8-9 in the four corners, that would be two lots of 8-9, which is 34. But they're in twice, which is 68. So I've got 68 plus 40. Oh, so it is, it is getting up there, actually. I've got 68 plus 44, which is 112, minus yellow equals 102. So yellow has a maximum value of 10, which is suspicious. That is suspicious. The reason I think that's suspicious is if I can prove that these digits are all different, then the minimum these could be would be 10 if they were 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, this is somehow it. This is somehow it. I haven't quite understood why it's it, but what I'm now thinking is if I do, let me just show you, if I do put 5, 6, 7, 8 in here, whoopsie, I mean in the middle, then I'm getting 1, 2, 3, or 4 as a quadruple here. And now, how could I have a repeated digit in yellow? If yellow has to add up. Yeah, what I'm thinking is I can't include 2 1s and things like that, because you then couldn't put 1 in the middle box. So I think I'm not there yet in terms of proving this to you, but I think the answer to this puzzle is this. It's going to have 8s and 9s in the corners, a maximum in the green cross, a maximum in the middle of that green cross, and a quadruple 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple around the edge. That does allow our equation to work. Now, how do we prove that that then must be the answer to this puzzle? So if I was to reduce anything here, then these would have to contain a repeated digit. And if they contain a repeated digit, whatever that repeated digit is, has to go in the green cross. But if it goes in the green cross, it's sort of negated from being responsible for the difference, isn't it? If you see what I mean. Because we're deducting yellow from the green cross in effect to arrive at our 102. So let me think about this. So let's imagine instead of making green maxed out, let's leave the 9 in the middle. Let's try it with a 4 rather than a 5. If we went 4, 6, 7, 8, then these would have to include 5 rather than 4. But now the sum, this is complicated. The sum of green plus blue, the blue corners twice, is now not, it's no longer 112, is it? It's now 111, I think. Which means these squares have to add up to a maximum of 9, which means they have to contain a repeated digit, but that repeated digit still couldn't be 1, 2, or 3, so it would have to be a repeated 4. And you can't, that doesn't work. Oh, I see, yeah, it sort of breaks on itself. So it's incredibly hard to see and even harder to explain. But what I can feel at this point, and I'll try and explain this, is that as I reduce this from a maximum, I'm requiring a repeated digit in yellow. But the repeated digit I'm allowed to have in yellow is always the digit that I'm including in the green cross here. Because, and again, let's do this in an extreme way. Let's actually move 1 into the green cross. And let's see what the effect of that is. Because we can now see that rather than having 112, we've now reduced that by 4 to 108, which means I'm allowed to have 6 of digits around here. So clearly they can't all be different. If they're all different, they would add up to at least 10. The digit I can repeat now is 1. But I can't repeat 2 in the others, because that will avoid me being allowed to put 2 in the middle box. So the minimum these could be would be 2 and 3. And I lose. I lose the degree of freedom I need. So by reducing this from a maximum and allowing a repeat in the edge, I never pick up enough space to actually make it work. It's always going to fall 1 short, is what it feels to me like. And obviously, I think it's obvious if we reduce the 8s and 9s in the corners, we've given ourselves an even bigger problem, because then we cannot have a repeated digit here, unless that repeated digit was too high, because if we reduce these but leave the middle green cross as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then we can't have a repeated 1, 2, 3 or 4 in yellow. And if we can't have a repeated 1, 2, 3 or 4, we have a big problem, because the best we'll do is a repeated 5, and a repeated 5 plus the other two cells is going to be a very large number indeed, 13, where we know the maximum yellow could ever reach is 10, and that's only by maxing the green cross. Yeah, so this is a very wordy way, a verbose way, slightly ineloquent way, but I think a logical way of showing that we might desire, indeed, to reduce the maximum value of the green cross. But any attempt to do that will make filling in these yellow cells around the edge impossible within the confines of our equation. And the only way we can reach equilibrium is by maxing out the value of the green cross. So let's do that again, which is going to be exactly like this. This is the only way it will work, with doubling the 9. That gives us the opportunity to allow these 4 cells to add up to 10, which is the very best we're going to do, the absolute most. And because we have this 1, 2, 3, 4 juxtaposition in the middle box now, how could we ever repeat a digit in arriving at this 10? Well, we can't, because if we repeat the digit, whatever we repeat is going to get knocked out of box 5 altogether. So we cannot repeat any of the low digits in coming up with our 10 equation. And therefore the digits must be different, and they must be 1, 2, 3 and 4 in yellow, and 8 9s in the corners. And that has taken me a very long time, but I think that is what Jeet intended us to find. I mean, Jeet, I will stop now and tell you, you are a new breed of evil, my friend. That is so hard to understand. I mean, it's fairly. I think it's fair in the sense it's very well telegraphed, because there's nothing else you can do other than think about set. But I found it incredibly difficult for my brain to understand how I needed to think about the red lines overlapping with the blue and the orange. I wanted to try and cancel them down, but then I couldn't get my head around how that was going to work with having the corners in twice. So I think it was better the way we did it, which was purely mathematically. So just to say, okay, I can express orange and blue as a total, which is 108 plus the corners twice. And then how do we adjust that total for orange and blue to get to the 210 total? Well, we've got to add in the middle and deduct the yellows. Okay, so I mean, it does feel like that this is what we're intended to do. And we've now got a quadruple around the edge. We've got some relatively is there any value in looking at, well, maybe this diagonal? Do we know if that's not? Yeah, we know. Okay, we know these are the same, don't we? Because if that's 9, that's going to cause 2 8s here. So this is these two cells either add up to 18 or 16. So that it's possible we're at 27 here. 27, let's say, with an 8-7 pair is 42. No, even that doesn't make this impossible. We could include 1s and 2s, couldn't we? The minimum these could be would be 1-2 pairs, which would add up to 6. So even now, we're still not. I'm still not sure what we have to do. The whisper, is this now? Ah, yes. Okay, it's going to be the whisper I've suddenly seen. Look, in this row, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. Now you can't put 5 on a whisper. We know that from the Secrets of Whispers, which I share occasionally. So just think about it. If we try and put 5 here, what are we going to make this digit? It can't be. If we go downwards and it's got to be 5 different, we get to 0 or lower. And if we go upwards, we get to 10 or higher. So this can't be 5. So this is 6, 7 or 8. And this digit has to be 5 away at least from any of those digits. So it has to be 1, 2 or 3. Oh, that doesn't work. It's not this. Okay, that's a bit disconcerting. Yeah, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruples in column 5 and row 5. So we need to put 5s, 6s, 7s and 8s into both, but we don't know. We literally know nothing about these digits. Okay, so it's got to be... I don't know what it's got to be, actually. I mean, if the cage totals were slightly higher, I'd be more interested in, the fact that we've now locked the yellow digits down. That feels like... Oh, you can't put 8 or 9. Actually, hang on. You can't put 8 or 9 in the cages, can you? Okay, mind blown. This is ridiculous. If this is what you have to do, I'm about to blow your minds with this. This is quite beautiful. Right. So you can't put 8 or 9, indeed in any cage in this puzzle now. Now we've got 8s and 9s in the corners. We've got 8, 9 pairs looking at everything. So the question I was thinking about was, what would happen if I put, well, if I made this a 7, 6 pair, that's the most I could put into those 2 squares. What would that mean for this cage down here? And that's quite interesting. Because if I make this 7 and 6, where's the 7 and 6 in column 5? Well, not in those squares, not in any of these squares, and not there. So this would become a 6, 7 pair. But if that's a 6, 7 pair, now these 2 squares can't be made up of 8, 9, 7 or 6. So they would have a maximum value of 5 and 4. And that looks like it's going to break the world. Yeah. So the point is, well, yeah, okay. So, right, the way to visualize this is to say, okay, if I put 7 into any of those 4 squares, can I put 7 into another of those 4 squares? And the answer is no. Because if I do, imagine let's make this 7, then this can't be 7. Obviously this can't be 7 and this can't be 7, but that can't be 7 either, because then we couldn't put 7 in column 5. So, the absolute maximum we can make those 4 digits, which now we've proved are all different digits, unless they're very low digits, but the highest we could make them, because we can't use 8 and 9, would be 7, 6, 5 and 4. Now 7, 6, 5 and 4 add up to 22. And the maximum value I can make those squares would be a 3, 4 pair. And 3 and 4 add up to 7. And 22 adds 7 is 29. And this cage adds up to 15. And this cage adds up to 14. And that's 29. So that is how it works. This is a 5, 6... this is 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 3, 4. We know these are different from these, so these are now a 1, 2 pair, and I'm about to try exactly the same trick on these squares. Hang on a minute though, let me just mull this over for a second. I don't know. There may well be some stuff we can do on the diagonals, but I'm more intrigued by this sort of idea, so I'm going to come back to this. So again, the maximum value, it's the same. It's exactly. This is so brilliant. This is so unutterably brilliant. The value of these squares as a maximum, because we can't repeat a high digit in any of them, is 7654. That's 22. 22 plus a 1-2 pair is 25. Well, that's a 14 cage and that's an 11 cage. So that's how that's got to work as well. That's 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now what do we do? I don't know. Is it possible to... Oh, look, we can do some middle stuff. I love the way, as well, my brain is so strange that I see the 3-4 pair, and because I know yellows are all different, I eliminate the 3 and 4 from there. But I don't do it. I don't do the Sudoku in the middle box. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Oh, actually, don't answer that. There's going to be an absolute multitude of comments explaining why you never want to see me at a party. Okay, what else could we do then? Can we do something with this? The maximum size of that would be... No, these could be the same digit, couldn't they? Or is there some reason these have to be different digits? 14, nah, that doesn't look very restricted actually. 15, I suppose. That's double 7. Yeah, you see, I think you can repeat digits across the diagonals like that. It's just what you can't do is repeat digits within this sort of big rectangle like this, because that will break the middle column or the middle row. It's a fascinating geometric exercise, this, isn't it? It really is fascinating. Both, yeah, here's a little point. Both of these sums have a 4 in them, which means one of them has a 3. Yeah, okay. So if we think about these two cages together, we know there's a 4, 5, 6, 7 quadruple, which is sort of floating about in them somewhere, and there's a 3, 4 pair floating about in them somewhere. So we know, because we know there are 2 4s, because there's a 4 in the 4, 5, 6, 7 quadruple, and there's a 4 in the 3, 4 pair, there are 2 4s in these two cages, and we know wherever the 4 is in these two, it's not going to go with another 4 in its cage. In other words, the 3 is going to go with a 4, which means that 2 of the 3 digits in one of these cages add up to 7. And that is not this one, because if this was a 3, one of these digits would be a 4, and we need an 8, and we can't have an 8 in the cage. So this square is a 4. This square is a 3, and there's a 4 down here, which means that we need to partner that up with a 7. And up here, we now know those are not 4 and 7. So this is 4, 5, 6, and it is indeed incredibly average. 4, 5, 6 adding up to 15 is the way I think about averageness in Sudoku. Okay, so now that can't be double 7 anymore, at least. So this is a maximum of 13 now, which means these squares add up to a minimum of 6. Well, they do add up to 16. This is beautiful. This is such a beautiful puzzle. I'm blown away by this, actually. I'm blown away because, sorry if you can hear a bit of screaming in the background. I assure you it's pleasurable screaming. Because look, if this is 6, 7, which is the most it could be, this is now a minimum of 16, which is a minimum of a 7, 9 pair. But if this was any less, this would be an 8, 9 pair, and that'd break that cell. So this has to be maxed out. That's got to be 6, that's got to be 7. This has got to be a 7, 9 pair. And if it's a 7, 9 pair, it includes 9, and that makes this an 8, which means this is 9, this is 9, this is 8. I'm just going to check the maths on this. We've got 13 and 16, that is 29. Right, so this is not 7. These are not 7 either, by exactly the same logic. These are not 7. Oh, look, I can do some Sudoku. I neglect it always, but Sudoku in the middle box is probably a sensible thing to do. My phone is buzzing. Nothing important. What about this square then? Do we know this cage? Right, these two digits add up to 7, so that's not 4 anymore. And we've got a 24 total here. So if that was 6 and that was 7, that would be 13. These would have to add up to 11. That's easy. Bobbins. Okay, we've got a 28 here, which is... no, again, I don't think that's going to be terribly good, is it? All I'm doing is picking the maximums and thinking about what it might mean, and the maximum would be a 6-7 pair. Oh, okay, maybe there has to be a 9 in that domino. 10. Yeah, okay, we can't... No, okay, I'm aligning this diagonal slightly too much. We can do things here. I don't think this can be a 4. If that's a 4 and that's a 6, that's 10. But that's going to require these to add up to 18 and be double 9, and that's going to break Sudoku. So I think that has to be 7. That has to be 4, which means 7 in the middle box is now placed. This is no longer a 7. There's a 6. Oh, look. Yeah, look. There's a 6 in one of those squares, which means that square's a 5. Now, the other way of getting that 5 would be to have used that 6, but that would be a much more boring way than the way I just did it. This is now 5. Sorry, I should have spotted that, obviously. This is not a 5. Do we now revert to looking at this domino, or not? It's not really a domino, but right, if that's 6, 13, this has to be 15, and it would have to be 6, 9, because it couldn't be 7, 8. If that's 5, I think there's always a 9 on this in this diagonal, isn't there? Because if there was no 9, the maximum this would be 13. I would need these to add up to 15, which is simply not going to work. Can 11 work? 11? No, 11 needs 17 here. Right, so we can take 4 out of this square. And this is either 9, 7 or, whoopsie, or 9, 6 for sure. Okay, and what's going on here then? Oh, well, I can get rid of 6 from here now. Because if that's 6, that's a 5, and that's already 11. I can't put 0 into this square, so that's got to be a 4. Which means these two squares add up to 7, and then they've got options. Okay, what about this one then? We've got 9 here, so these two squares add up to 14 and don't use a 9, so they are 6 and 8. And this is 7 and 9. And I don't know. Let's put 5 in down here. Let's put 7 in up here. So 7 in the top row now. It has to be over there, look. That's quite interesting. Okay, because in 7 in the top row is in this domino. If there was a 7 in one of these two squares, 7 in column 1 would have to live in one of these 3 squares where it doesn't seem to be able to live. So this has not got 7 in it. This has got 6, 9 in it. And that's 15, 22, so this has got to be a 6. And that means this is a 1, this is a 2. This, that's a 6 and an 8 in the middle box. 6 has got to live in one of these squares by Sudoku. 6 in column 5 is now living with its friend the 5. So there's a 5, 6 pair here, which means these squares are a 7, 8 pair, which I'm sure is going to be important for some reason. Let's think about that. I don't know. No, hang on. 4 down here is doing things in the middle box. That's 3, that's 4. 3 lives in one of these squares. Come on. Oh, if I can't solve it from here, I'm going to weep. That's not a 1 anymore, using the power of this 1 here. So that's not a 6 anymore. So this has come right down. By maths, that's 5. Okay, so now we've got 9 on this diagonal, and we need 15 more, so that's a 7-8 pair, because it doesn't involve a 9. Which is going to be very important for the following reason. Come on, brain. No. I don't know. I don't know. How many things have we actually used now? Okay, I've not used the very long diagonals yet. So we're probably going to have to use those. Which one do we think? Should we try the bigger one? I'm not really fear. I must have 27 and 13, must I, which is 40. Right. So I need 16 more into those squares, but I know virtually nothing about them. I can't put 6 down here. So yeah, 6 in this row has to be there. 6 in column 9 is up here. Doesn't do anything. So these have a maximum value of 9, don't they, with 5, 4. So these have to add up to at least 7. That looks very easy. I think I can put 5, 4 on this diagonal as well. In fact, look, 4, if we look at where 4 goes, 4 is on that, is on this diagonal by Sudoku. Yeah, okay, maybe more Sudoku. Yeah, okay, 5 is definitely on the diagonal in this box using these 2 squares. Can we get... What we need, I think, is a sort of extreme digit on a diagonal somewhere. That's going to be useful. 4 is on these 2 squares. Or, I don't know. I'm feeling a bit daft now. 2, 3, 5, 7. So this is 2, 3, or 5. Or is there... Oh, maybe I could do more with this row, look. Because I was able to do stuff with column 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yes, 5 has to be there, look. That I didn't notice that. Right, so... Oh, look, that's huge. So 7 is... Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't think about this, but this row is important, because 5 can't go on the whisper, so 5 goes here. And that seems to mean this has become a 7. Now 7 can't go next to a 3 on a German whisper, because it's not 5 away, so that's got to be a 2. That's a 2, that's a 1. And now... Is that doing something? That could, well, 8. 8 goes here. That's massive, because that's doing my 8 and my 6. And my 6 and my 9. Which is doing nothing. No, it is. 8 and 7. 8 and 7. 7 and 9. 7 and 8. 6 and 5. I love this puzzle. This is just absolutely breathtaking. I've done some incredible puzzles over the last few days. Just incredible. That's 9. That's 3. Okay, so in this row, this is a 1-4 pair out of absolutely nowhere. These 2 squares are a 6-8 pair, which I can do. 8 and 6. So these squares are 3 and 9, which I can do. Wow. Now, has this improved my lot in life? Probably. I don't know. 6 goes here now. Can we get more 6-age done? Yeah, 6 up here, look. Trusting my pencil marks. I probably oughtn't do that, but I will. 1, 3, and 4 into this column. Can we do better than that? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. Oh, Bobbin's face. What does this mean? I can do 7 in the top row. And again, look, I get left with 1, 2, 3 triple. And that's not 3. So there's a 3 over here. So that's not 3. Oh, there's the 3. So, okay, so where does the 3 go in the top row is what a question we could have asked and didn't. Is that going to be useful? 2, 3, 5, 7. We can do 7 in this column. Yeah, okay, I've probably just got to chase digits around a bit more. Let's double click the big digits. So 9, can we do better with 9? No. 9 is in one of those two, and I think one of these two. So it's not done. 8. Looks like we've done most of the 8s, but we could get one more. Look, 8's got to go here, and that's going to give me 9s as well. Not in the best of places, but that's great. Now 7s. 7s look done. 6s are done. Okay, 5s. 5's not done. Definitely not done. This is a 1-2 pair. So that's not 1. 1, 2 and 5 in the bottom row. Let's just have a look at that. Look, that's a naked single. That's got to be a 1. It sees 2 and 5. So hang on, let me just be careful here. Can this still be 5? Maybe. And what are these digits in this column then? 3 and 4? I think, yeah, I've got a bad feeling. Oh, look. In this row, 5's got to go there. So 5 goes here. 5 goes here. And in this column, 2 and 3 are to be placed. Let's just put that in and see whether or not anything's resolved. Apparently not. Okay, let's double click 5s again. Are 5s better than they were? They are, yes. Yes, look, I can get the 5 in the final 5 of the grid. So let's do 4s now. No, 4s really are underperforming. But that 5 is giving me a 2 here. So this must be 1 or 4. That feels awfully low for this diagonal, actually. We worked out, yeah, I worked out those squares had to add to 16. I'm just going to revisit that maths. 27, 45. I need 11 more in those squares. So if that's a 1, I can't make 11. I've got no high digits available in this box. So that is a 4. So that's 4, that's 4, that's 1. Which means that's 4 apparently. So this is 3. So this is 4. And that's 2 and that's 1. And that's 4. Okay. This is now 3 apparently. That's a 1. This row has not got 2 or 3 in it. So that's 2, that's 3. I'm going to have to check all these diagonals. I do not trust myself at all. That's a 2. That's... No. That's got to be a 1. This is a 1-3 pair. The 3 and the 1 go in. The 1 and the 2 go in. That's going to be a 2. Somehow I think the puzzle has got filled in. I don't quite know how. But I have not checked anything. I'm going to double... I haven't ever looked at this diagonal, I don't think. That was probably an error, wasn't it? So we've got 24 there. 30, 24, 34, another 10, 44, and 6 is 50, which is right. I don't know why I find that surprising, but I do. What else could I have got wrong? Sudoku, let's click tick. Yes, it's right. Although it doesn't include the solution. 13 people have solved it in 15 days. That's not a great many, is it? And I have ticked over the hour there. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised. That was quite hard. That was quite hard and absolutely fascinating from start to finish. I mean, it is incredibly, incredibly impressive when a constructor comes up with an idea as original as this whole like equational nonsense that we were trying to do at the start. That's amazing. But what I think is truly, absolutely world class is then, I mean, I thought that logic, that you couldn't repeat a digit in these, or a high digit in these 4 squares, was quite lovely, and it worked exactly the same symmetrically there. That was just, you know, chef's kiss moment, wasn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. That has cheered me up. The weather outside can no longer darken my mood when I get to do puzzles like that. It's fantastic. It is a fantastic, I think, difficult puzzle, but I'm always surprised by the comments. You know, somebody in there will, yes, polished it off in 4 minutes. Well, if you did, well done. I will be very impressed. I'm not sure I believe you, but I might. Depends who you are. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.